Welcome back to the Aussie Shed, folks, for episode 3 of the 6x9 belt disc sander.
Table mount's going pretty good. As you can see, I've cut the brackets off the table that had been previously fabricated for it. And I thought rather than just have it permanently fixed in position at 90 degrees, which is the way it's used most of the time, I thought I might as well just put in a little bit of extra effort and make it so the table is adjustable. You can see I've got a crudely fashioned hinge here out of some 6mm plate, just with a 12mm mild steel bolt running through the center. There's 3 tabs on each side with a hole drilled through them that I'm using to articulate the table. And you can see it's quite strong, and it should work extremely well when it's mounted onto the machine. I have cut a slight relief out of this section here so that I can get a spanner onto this bolt that runs through here for the table adjustment. I will need to lock and unlock that, and it would have been a bit hidden by this plate here. So you can see this plate's been welded on here now. That's just some 150mm wide 6mm plate, gal plate that I've had sitting around for ages. I thought I might as well use it for this. It's a pretty good size. That's another piece of it there. This is just the adjusting arm for the table that I've just kind of drawn out here roughly on a piece of this same 6mm plate that I'll just cut it out with on the bandsaw, just with my hobby bandsaw I have here in the shed that I've converted over the years to be able to cut steel with. It was just an old woodworking bandsaw that is actually quite good for doing this kind of stuff now. The way to set up the arc on this this adjusting bar is just by measuring from the center line here to the position that you want. This I'm limited in this direction here by the distance before we come down and foul with the plate, and that distance from the center of that to the center of the slot that will be here defines the radius of the arc that the piece will be cut on. Fortunately, this is 150mm plate, and I've just used the maximum of the plate. Gets me very close. You can see that's the center line of the radius from there, and it gets me across to about here, which is the center of the table, which isn't too bad at all. So what I plan on doing is welding on another tab in this position up here, which will be on the center line as this moves in this direction here, so that that center line will match in that direction. And here I will weld a tab that comes out with a thread in it, and I'll just have various holes drilled in along this piece, you know, at 90 degrees and, you know, 45 and 30 degrees, all the main angles. And I'll probably drill a couple of offset holes in the tab on the bottom so I can go in between all the main angles that I have to pretty much give me an infinite adjustment without actually having to do a slot, because I hate doing slots. So I might go over and cut this out on the bandsaw. This is one of the bandsaws I have here in the Aussie Shed. This is what I'm going to use to cut out the center support for the adjustable table on the 6x9 belt sander. It's an old Craftmaster 360mm 3-speed bandsaw. It's designed primarily as a woodworking tool. The blade supports are now all run on bearings. The mounting block has been replaced by a piece that I've just machined up out of a block of aluminium. So the blade is all supported by roller bearings in every direction, and it also has a like most of my machines in the Aussie Shed, it has a variable speed treadmill motor, which means I can use it for still doing a bit of woodwork with, but mainly I use it for metalwork, so I can slow it right down to a point where it cuts really well and doesn't destroy the blades while I'm running it. I'll just turn it on and give you a little bit of a demo. So you can see on the, I'll just pan back here a little bit, I'm as far back as I can go. So you can see when you turn the switch on here, light comes on the top, and that activates the potentiometer. So from here you can turn him on and get a bit of blade rotation going. It works reasonably well. It's only a fairly light duty machine still, but just for cutting out various shapes in steel, it's very, very handy. So I'll get at it, eh? I've even still got all my fingers, folks. Even that one. This is just another old hobby type machine that you can pick up for almost nothing on Craigslist, or in Australia our equivalent is a site called Gumtree. It's all the used second-hand market where people just want to get rid of stuff that's been sitting in their garages and whatever for years. Originally when I bought this, it was in a not working condition. It didn't look like it had been used for a long time. A simple addition of a treadmill motor, a cheap motor controller, making a bit of a piece up for here with a few cheap bearings. I've been using this now for probably about, I reckon probably 10 years in my home workshop. And other than, you know, blade changes, it hasn't missed a beat. It'll do this kind of thing all day. And you can see that's 6mm mild steel plate on a curve. It really doesn't struggle at all. Like, it's the sort of thing, if you didn't have a bandsaw that was able to do this kind of thing, you'd be trying to cut it out with a handheld grinder, or using a plasma cutter if you had access to one. But a cheap, picked up off Craigslist, old hobby bandsaw with a few modifications, and it's a perfectly capable tool in the home workshop, as you can see, for cutting out steel with. Very handy tool indeed. I've got everything mounted on these like four-wheel drive fridge drawer runners, so you can just push them back into position, and they don't take up space in the workshop. You don't have to move them to use them. It's not a bad setup. And there we go. The adjusting bar is done and drilled. Lots of holes there, but no slots. And I did say slots, gentlemen. Turned out rather well. Here's the main support unit. You can see there's another piece here with a few different positions welded onto there. There's a slot on this side of it for the bar to pass through, and a tab welded onto the table for it to attach to on the other side. I've cleaned up this a bit. I've just been over it lightly with a flat wheel, cleaned up some of the welds just to make it look a bit pretty. And I might throw it together, eh? And that is what it looks like when it's together. Not too bad at all. Not too bad for a roughie. It should do everything that I need it to do, hopefully. It should give me plenty of adjustment. To be honest, most of the time it's just going to sit at 90 degrees anyway for cleaning the stuff up square. But if I want to, I can adjust it. I'll just show the arrangement down the bottom here. I'm not sure if you can see. There we go. So if the angle's not exactly perfect, you can creep into another hole and adjust the angle slightly to give you the angle that you want. The vertical position of the belt table is also adjustable due to the slots on the bracket which mounts it. So it should be pretty easy to get any angle that you want. I'll just put the camera back. Yeah, so that should make it easy to get you know, various angles, I reckon. So what I might do is go and mount him onto the base unit and see how it all looks mounted in position. Bear with me. So that's what it looks like mounted onto the base plate. I'll just hang on to the camera and swing it around a bit and give you a bit of a look. You can just see the front of the adjusting bar sitting in the slot there inside. I'll just sit the camera down there. I'll just pop the bolt out. So you can see as the table is tilted, the arm just slides through. And on full down, which I've got at roughly that angle there, which I'm never going to need anything steeper than that anyway, when the arm comes up on the inside, it stays below the underside height of the belt, as if the belt platform was running in the horizontal position. This wouldn't touch the underside of the belt, so it has plenty of clearance there. So it's looking pretty good, really. What I might do is I might mount the belt platform on it. I might just sit this temporarily onto its stand and put the whole thing together and see what it looks like in an actual kind of working position. So there she is with the belt platform in the vertical position, table mounted up. You can see where that's sitting with the adjusting holes. The table quite easily, I can just do it with one hand, even though I still don't have the bearings fitted to the other side, but it's quite easy with one hand now just to be able to turn it over and turn it down. As such, while I was setting up the table, I'm not sure if you can see with the light. Oh yeah, there it is. I had lines drawn on this table in its previous configuration, just to help me as a quick and dirty way of putting workpieces up against the belt platform in the vertical position. This just gives me these are just 45-degree lines in both direction, and 90-degree lines straight off the front of the belt platform. And I found them to be really helpful, to be able to just pick something up, and most of the time you're doing either 90 or 45 off the sanding face. They're really good, but the problem was they used to wear off all the time. I used to have to keep redoing them, so I thought this time I'll just run a grinder, just a handheld 4-inch grinder, along the lines just by hand. Not hard to get them straight. And when I repaint this, I'll repaint it all, then I'll just throw some black down in the grooves, and hopefully they'll stay a bit more permanent. But that's how she's shaping up. So I think that's the adjustable table platform and the new bracket pretty much finished. Pretty much finished. I think the next task with a 6x9 belt disc sander, I might make up some flat bar and put down where the motor mount is. I've been using the slots on this side, and I drilled a couple of holes on this side just to suit the mount on the DC treadmill motor that's on there. I think I might redo that. I think I might put down some flat plate and bolt it down to the base, and then weld some studs sticking up and use those to mount the treadmill motor. Just something that's a little bit better. But that's where we are at the moment. Barring that, it's probably getting ready for a bit of paint. Very interesting. Once again, I think we might leave it there for this week. As always, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.